All Things Mavs.
What's up, Mavs fans? Welcome into the All Things Mavs podcast. As always, I'm your host, Jimmy Crowther, coming at you after another loss, 126 to 111. The Mavs fall to the Los Angeles Clippers. And yeah, it was a loss. And yeah, it was a tough loss that had a lot of playoff implications. And yeah, the Mavs kind of blew it in the fourth quarter. However, I'm going to be 100% honest, and I'm going to say it right now at the beginning of this podcast. I was encouraged by the way the Mavs played this game. At the end of the day, listen, as much as we all wanted to and as much as we all wanted to be optimistic and hopeful about this game, we all knew that we didn't match up well with the Clippers. I made a video about it about a month ago about how the Clippers are the last team we want to see in the playoffs for very obvious reasons, for the reasons we saw in tonight's game. And at the end of the day, the Mavs played this game real close for 3 quarters and 10 minutes. The last 2 minutes and the box score of the Mavs losing 126 to 111 is not indicative of how close the Dallas Mavericks played this Los Angeles Clippers team. And yeah, there was some good, and yeah, there was some ugly and some things that definitely should not have happened against a team like the Los Angeles Clippers. But at the end of the day, I was encouraged by the Dallas Mavericks in this game. So I'm going to break it all down. I'm going to tell you why I was encouraged by it. I'm going to tell you what I really didn't like about this game, other than the fact that we lost. And I want to break down the box score, as always, giving you all the stats that I can give you. I also want to tell you, really, just what went wrong in that fourth quarter, because, in all honesty, I mean, it was the last 2 minutes of the fourth quarter that really bit us there at the end. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to break it all down. Don't you worry. Right after I take a little break, we're going to do a quick ad break here. But before I get there, I've done it in most of my podcasts, and I say, hey, if you predict the score of the next game correctly and you predict the correct winner, I'm going to Venmo you directly from me $25. And so far, we've done it it's been 4 games down the bubble. Nobody's gotten a single score right. So I'm going to up the ante by $5. I'm going to say if somebody predicts the correct score and the correct winner of the Dallas Mavericks versus Milwaukee Bucks game in the comment section down below with the hashtag Mavs followed by it. You got to predict the winner and the correct score. I'll Venmo you $30 for the correct winner of correct score. So go ahead and do that in the comment section. We'll take this quick break and then we'll get into what I liked, what I didn't like, and the box score. All right, let's start off from the top. Right from the beginning of this game, the Mavs were hanging close, and everybody was biting their nails, and everybody was like, all right, this is just a solid first quarter, but we all know what's going to happen. The Mavs' first quarter hang in there, 23-22, probably their best defensive quarter of not just the bubble, but arguably of the season against an elite team, arguably the best team in the Western Conference. I know my buddy Harrison Graham, who was on the podcast last time with me, would say this is the favorite to be the NBA champions. He thinks the Los Angeles Clippers are going to win it all. Now, I'm still leaning Lakers, but the Clippers are a close second for me right now. Second quarter, Mavs keep it tied. 36-36 in the second quarter. They're down 1 going into halftime. And then the third quarter, Mavs come out to play. And right off the bat, Mavs get into a 8-0 hole. It gets real ugly real fast. Not a pretty third quarter. Nobody was hitting. Nobody was doing anything until all of a sudden, Mr. Trey Burke, Mr. First Game of the Bubble, comes alive, goes on a 5-0 run at the end of the third to put the Mavs within 4, and the Mavs are in the game, and everyone's really, really excited. And then the fourth quarter happens. Kristaps Porzingis goes completely bonkers and just dominates the fourth quarter all by himself. And then the last 2 minutes of the game, listen, here's what happened at the end of the game. You say, okay, Kristaps Porzingis was dominating, he was dominating, and Rick takes him out with 6 minutes left. What are you doing, Rick? Okay, Porzingis played the entire beginning of the fourth quarter. He had to get a breather. It wasn't that Rick wanted to take him out when he was hot. It's that Rick had to take him out because he was tired. He literally did everything on defense, on offense, rebounding, everything. So that one is not on Rick. And I'll question Rick where Rick deserves to be questioned because there are some questions that I'm going to raise here in the middle of this podcast. But in that fourth quarter, when Kristaps Porzingis had to sit on the bench, he had to sit on the bench because he was tired, not because of anything that Rick Carlisle did or didn't want in the game at the time. And then Luka comes in, and man, it was real frustrating because Luka had 2 shots that were really just unsolicited threes, in my opinion. He goes up against, he gets switched off to JaMychal Green. JaMychal Green's defending him. JaMychal Green is a 6'8", 6'9" power forward that's not really known for his perimeter defense. and Luka decides to do a step back instead of taking it to the rim and trying to draw a foul. And Luka looked like he was scared of going to the rim most of the night tonight. Now, to be fair, Luka shot the ball from three, probably the best he shot it. He made 6 threes. He was 6 of 13 from the three-point line, and most of those misses came at the end when the game was kind of over anyway. But definitely should have gone to the rim there. And then he gets switched on to Landry Shamet, a guy who is definitely not known for his defense. And he settles for a step back once again. And that's kind of where the Mavs sunk it. I mean, Maxi Kleber hits a 3, ties it at 101. And then from there, if I think it was like a 29-15 run by the Clippers, something crazy, something that the Mavs cannot dig themselves out of. And they lose at 126-111. So yes, the fourth quarter sucked. But here's the thing. The Mavs kept it close for almost the entire game. In fact, they were leading for some of that game as well. Kristaps Porzingis was dominant in this game. 30 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, a block, 3 of 7 from 3. And they went to him on the block, and he was turning around doing the jumper. The Clippers have no answer. No answer for Kristaps Porzingis. And if the Mavs want to go to him, they could have gone to him probably 100 more times, but he would have been gassed. He played 38 minutes. That's more minutes than anybody on the Dallas Mavericks, and as many as Kawhi Leonard played on the Clippers, and that was the most anybody on the Clippers played. So that was really, really encouraging. Luka, a great game from 3, a great shooting game. 6 of 13 from 3. That's the best shooting night he's had. Now he didn't do a whole lot of other things well. He scored 29 points, but 6 assists, 3 rebounds. But his shooting, super encouraging. His defense, very, very solid tonight. And his defense has been so underrated this entire bubble, and he just continued to show it in this game. Trey Burke, here's the thing about Trey tonight. Trey got buckets around the rim. Trey got buckets from the mid-range. But Trey was also 0 of 7 from beyond the three-point arc. And here's the main thing about this game is that this is a potential playoff matchup. Right now, as it currently stands, the Mavs would play the Clippers in the first round. Do I think we're going to get beat by the Clippers? Yeah, I definitely think we're going to get beat by the Clippers in the first round. But I think it's going to be a lot closer based on what I saw tonight. And there's a lot of good, and there's a lot of bad. And so I want to break down the bad. I want to talk about some more things about playoff implications, and I do want to end on a positive note, so we'll get there as well. Now, the bad. Ivica Zubac, or Zubac, or Zubac, whatever you want to say, Zubat. I think it's Ivica Zubac. That's how I've always said it. That's how I'm going to continue to say it. 10 of 10 from the field, 21 points, 15 rebounds. Dominates the Mavs in the third quarter. I mean, he is the reason the Clippers took the lead in the third quarter that they took. And then in the fourth quarter, he beat us up in the beginning of the fourth, but he didn't really play the end of the fourth because the Mavs went with a little bit of a quicker lineup. But this is where I question Rick Carlisle. Because Boban Marjanovic starts the game, and admittedly, Boban was terrible in the beginning of that game. He made one little jumper, but defensively terrible. He got 4 rebounds in 6 minutes, but he still got out-rebounded and outscored by Zubac in that first quarter. So I understand not putting him in right away in that fourth quarter, or in that third quarter when things were going wrong. But when Zubac is not missing a shot, he's making everything he shoots down low, you got to put the tallest guy in the NBA, besides Taco Fall, in the game, right? I didn't understand that, and I think that was definitely something that dug us in a hole, but I don't think that's what lost us the game. I think at the end of the day, what really lost us this game was just inexperience, but inability to match up with this team. Because we can guard one of Paul George or Kawhi Leonard with a guy tonight. Like Dorian Finney-Smith, amazing defensively. Maxi Kleber, amazing defensively. But they can only guard one of those two guys. I mean, Dorian can guard Paul George. Maxi's okay on Kawhi. But at the end of the day, those aren't the guys you want guarding Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. Tim Hardaway Jr. is too small to guard Paul George. Dorian Finney-Smith is great. I think he can guard both of those guys really well. Maxi is too big to guard Paul George. So you get into a matchup nightmare right there. And it's tough, and that's what loses you the game. I mean, they were tough tonight. Kawhi Leonard, 29 points. He got shots from anywhere he wanted. He was a plus 22 on the floor. Paul George, 24 points, 6 assists, 7 rebounds, 2 of 4 from 3. Kawhi was 4 of 8 from 3. Both of them shot 50% from beyond the three-point arc. And the Mavs just don't have an answer for both of those guys when they're on the floor at the same time. And it's tough. And it's going to suck to see in the playoffs if that is indeed who we end up playing. But the Mavs are going to have to figure it out. And I really do think they will. And now, as it stands right now, as I'm recording this podcast, the Portland Trailblazers and the Denver Nuggets are in the third quarter. The Trailblazers are up by 11 points. If the Blazers win that game, there's still a chance, if the Nuggets win that game, there's still a chance that the Nuggets can overtake the Clippers for the second seed. But it's not looking likely. It is basically, we might as well start preparing for the fact that we are going to play the Clippers in the first round of the playoffs. Does that stink? Is that hard to hear? Is that really frustrating? Yes. Do I think we're going to lose? Unfortunately, I do. But am I encouraged by what I saw tonight? Absolutely, I am. So let me read you the box score from this game. Leading scorer was Kristaps Porzingis with 30 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists. Luka Doncic had 29 points, 6 assists, and 3 rebounds. Trey Burke had 11 points, while Dorian Finney-Smith, 12 points, 8 rebounds. 3 of those offensive rebounds and 3 assists as well. He also had a blocked shot in the game. Maxi played a great game. Maxi played such an incredible game on both ends of the floor. He had like 3 foul calls against him that were just terrible calls. 2 fouls, 2 fouls against him that were awful calls in that second quarter or third, I'm not sure. But great defense by Maxi and a great overall game. 10 points, 4 boards, 2 assists, a steal, a block, 2 of 5 from beyond the three-point arc. Justin Jackson, before we get to him, Tim Hardaway Jr. had 8 points, really rough night from him, 2 of 8 from 3, minus 19 in the box score, 3 rebounds. DeLon Wright had 4 points, he was a +7. DeLon Wright actually didn't have a terrible game, but there were a couple open layups that I think he gave up. Boban, 2 points, 4 rebounds in 6 minutes of action. And then Justin Jackson, man, and you guys know me. You guys know I'm on Justin Jackson Island. You know I will go to war for him and go to bat for him. And he had a great second quarter, man. He gave the Mavs some great minutes. Knocked down a 3, hit one of his patented floaters. 5 points, 1 steal, 1 rebound. Great defense in the second quarter. And then the third or fourth quarter, I don't even remember now. But he had a wide open lane. And 6'8" Justin Jackson, all he had to do was dunk the ball. And he tried to shoot a layup, and he missed it off the rim. And that's kind of where I think there's a little bit of a turning point, and I think the Clippers start to feel like they were taking control. MKG, although technically active, did not play. JJ Barea, although he started the last game, did not play. Antonius Cleveland and Josh Reeves also did not play in this game. Now remember, for the Clippers, they don't have Montrezl Harrell. But you don't really need Montrezl Harrell when Ivica Zubac doesn't miss a shot and gets 15 rebounds, right? Frustrating night. I get it. I'm with you guys. I'm not happy about this loss. I'm not saying this should be, this is a motivator. This is a really good. No, I'm not saying that at all. There's nothing to be exact. There's no reason to be happy after this loss. However, I do think we should be encouraged by just how close the Mavs played this game. 126 to 111, that final score is not indicative of how close the Mavs played this game. And I think this will be a fun series. Now, is it going to be frustrating for Mavs fans? Absolutely. Am I going to be there alongside you guys the entire time? Absolutely. I don't think we're going to beat this team in 7 games. I hate to say it, but I do think it's going to be closer than we expected based on the way they played tonight. And if guys like Tim Hardaway Jr. can do better than they did tonight, and guys like Boban can come in and give you better spurts and better minutes, and listen, I don't understand what's happening with Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. Maybe he just really stinks. Maybe he's really just bad. Maybe he's just hot garbage. But I know he can play defense. That's basically why he was drafted number 2 overall. So not getting a single minute and at least trying to guard Kawhi and PG, a little confusing. But I don't expect to see him. I'm sure we'll see him before the bubble is over. But we'll just have to wait and see. So overall, Mavs fans, I don't want you to walk away with an upset attitude. We weren't expected to win this game. We weren't expected to be this close the entire time, but we were. And we played it real well. Now, am I frustrated and do I have higher expectations? I absolutely do. But going forward, KP, great game. One of the best players in the bubble right now. A great bounce-back game after fouling out in the last game against the Sacramento Kings. But great fight, and then we got the Milwaukee Bucks coming up on Saturday night. It's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a real tough game if the Milwaukee Bucks are playing everybody, which I don't know if they will. We'll just have to wait and see. But whoever predicts that score right, predicts the winner, it's $30 out of my pocket, straight to yours. So do that in the comment section below. On Twitter, I'll continue to keep you updated about this Denver Nuggets and Portland Trailblazers game. I'm behind right now, obviously, as you're listening to this. Maybe you already know the outcome of that game. But whatever it is, Mavs are probably playing the Clippers in the first round. And I'm not too upset about the way they played tonight. So walk away encouraged. Go follow me on Twitter at _things_Mavs. Subscribe to the channel because we're putting up new videos every single day, and I'm trying to hit that 5,000 subscriber mark real soon. I've also got a new sponsor for the channel that I'm going to announce very soon. And once I get that new sponsor, because we're about to sign it on the dotted line, once that new sponsor's in, that means gear for you guys. Dallas Mavericks gear, that is. So stay tuned for that. Subscribe to the channel. Make sure you give this video a like, and I'll talk to you next time.